Hello and welcome to WhatKeepsYouAwake.tv. It's time again to dive into the hustles, the hurdles, and the highs that keep small business leaders up at night. I'm your host, David Hooser, and I'm fortunate to welcome today's guest, Craig Darling.
Thank
Craig. Craig founded his current company, Darling Local, to help businesses connect to clients in their service area. So let's say next time you ask Google where the nearest service is, you can think about Craig and his business, Darling Local. So Craig, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, you have a voice for
radio, but
radio.
Not the face.
You and I both struggle in that department, but you have a great voice for this podcast. So let's get started with the fundamental questions. And as an expert in local search, what keeps you awake late at night?
Well, really keeps me awake at night more than anything else, because I've got a fabulous team, and that is, what's Google going to change without telling me?
Yes, they've never changed, have they? Have they changed the algorithms at Google?
Yeah, they changed their policies and their algorithms to suit them pretty
That's
much
right.
at will. So you just have to be on top of your game when you're spotting what Google itself is doing.
When you're using Google to, promote your business, right?
That's correct.
All right. Well, how'd you get started? Tell me, and we can go back before Darling
Yeah, well,
Local,
we can go back. I'm a sales guy. I sold cars. Came out here to Arizona to teach, actually, and found out I wasn't qualified under Arizona law, so I needed a job. Opened the old newspaper to the help wanted section,
Right.
and went to work for Jerry Chapman over in Tempe, which changed the trajectory of my life, because a short time after that, I met the woman who's been my wife for about 40 years now, and it just changed everything. I never thought about sales as a career.
Okay.
And then eventually in the early 90s, if you remember, the internet came about, which one of the
What's
reasons
that?
we're here today, right? Because the internet.
It'll never last.
Right.
It'll
It'll never last.
Yeah.
It's just a fad, right? But because I had some training in school on computer languages, the owner of the dealership asked me to be their quote unquote internet manager.
Sales manager.
And we didn't have a website. We didn't have email marketing. We didn't have CRMs. We didn't have any of that.
Right.
And so I basically had to work from scratch. And that was in 1993. In 1997, we were the largest domestic automobile dealer in the world.
Wow.
Right here in Macon,
How much
Arizona.
of that was coming in from online sales?
Better than 50%.
Wow.
Right.
Already in the 90s.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
In the early 90s. Yeah. So,
and you weren't related to the porn industry at all.
No, it wasn't the porn industry, and I'm pretty certain that's bigger industry.
Well, I mean, you don't know what was going on in the backseat of those cars after they
That's
left
correct.
The lot,
I had no clue. But that's actually how I got started. So the gentleman that I managed his dealership, he sold his dealership for a lot of money, like $400 million in cash, and he hooked me up with an agency in San Francisco called Peak Performance.
Okay.
And so they had me scheduled all over the country. I would go and speak to companies that were turning into web companies, kellybluebook.com,
right,
edmunds.com, and chars.com, that sort of thing. And this worked out really well for a couple of years, except my wife didn't like the fact that I was traveling 4 and 5 days a week.
Right.
So she said, no, you can't do that anymore. So I came back to Arizona, got a job, actually was the sales director for quite a number of dealerships here in the Valley. And then 2008 happened.
Okay.
And
small glitch in the economic.
Yeah, everything
window.
crashed in 2008. So I wound up, actually I had to start all over because we lost everything.
Wow.
In the ensuing 18 months after that.
Wow.
Because I lost a $35,000 a month job.
Yeah.
Evaporated. And I had thought I was wealthy.
So,
but the truth of the matter was I had income but no wealth.
Yeah, you had a little bit of leverage going on.
Right, right. So, at any rate, so I went to work for a law firm in town, and which is one of the reasons we sell so many law firms around the world. But uh, that wasn't enough money to pay all my bills.
Right.
So I started a
So you're
side.
doing some marketing for the law firm.
Right. Yeah, yeah. So I
Okay.
started doing some side gigs, helping local businesses, and then social media. And one of the social media panels was what they called Google Plus.
Okay.
And I made for a car repair shop out in Gilbert. I made a Google Plus post, and then like 2 or 3 minutes later, I accidentally searched for exactly what I'd posted. And let me say that I did it accidentally because it was on my clipboard, and I pasted it into the search bar. I just
Got it.
pasted it and searched for it totally accidentally. I did not want to search for that.
Right.
But what happened was my post was the #1 search result. And I said, wait a minute, how is this happening?
Wow.
So we started doing some research, my wife and I. My wife is a retired marketing director for
Okay.
Cox
All right.
Communications,
So
so she's a pretty smart girl.
good partner for this business.
Yeah. So we discovered that we could utilize Google platform to get anything to index instantly.
Okay.
And a few days later, then Google rolled out Google Places, which is what we all know now as Google Business
Google.
Profiles or Google
Right.
My Business.
Right.
And as soon as I saw that, I go, "Oh, this is a marketing. This is a gold mine for us." And from that point on, we started managing Google Profiles. Darling Local came about in February of 2015.
Okay.
So this February, the last day of the month, we celebrated our 10th.
10 years. Congrats. That's exciting.
Yeah, yeah.
Most small businesses don't make that anniversary. So
Yeah, and it's crazy. I know that, and I completely spaced out the fact that it was our 10-year anniversary. We planned on doing something fabulous, and then I looked back, it was the middle of March. I go, "Oh, we forgot all about
we
the
missed
10-year
it.
anniversary."
It's amazing how we get focused on our clients, activity and their milestones,
Yeah,
accomplishments, and we forget our own.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
it really is crazy, and the technology is moving so rapidly
Right.
right now. AI is filtering
Just gonna
in, and
ask you.
I know there's a lot of people out there talking about they know this about AI, they know that. We've actually, my team and I have actually been working with AI for over 5 years, right? So it's not a newbie for us.
Right.
Yeah, I get a lot of people using ChatGPT, and that's all well and good. But so much of what we do anymore is AI driven.
When you say that, do you mean optimized for AI search? I mean, because that's the question. Going forward, if I'm using, even Google as Gemini, ChatGPT, um, it if I ask the AI to give me some, like I asked them about a history on a address, on a property address,
Sure.
and so now it's going and searching, available, the internet, the available, content online, and then it's coming back to tell me. So the question I would have for you is with AI, coming so prominently, into our lives, will we be asking the AI and then the AI be searching our websites to give that best result back to me?
If you use Alexa, Siri Voice, Google Voice,
Yeah,
you're
you're
using
using
AI.
AI.
You
Yeah.
know, and that's really the gist of it. So we optimize for all of that, of course. That's
Okay.
part of it. Making the Google profile visible in Apple Maps, making it visible
Right.
on Bing. That's all part of AI's
Right.
utilizing AI.
So it's
to do
AI
it.
finding the optimized content on my on my business profile.
Correct. If you turn your product or your platform loose to AI, right?
Okay.
Some people haven't done that yet.
Okay.
So there are a lot of websites that are out there that people have that are 4 and 5 years old that aren't interactive with
That
AI.
aren't
So
updated, optimized for
they
that.
need to update it. Yeah, if they
Yeah.
do nothing else, just spend a few $100s to update your website. Would be a big
So
help.
I mean, I can't tell you how many times all of us on a frequent basis, day to day, ask Google, ask someone, what's near me now? What's the nearest service station? What's the
Sure.
nearest pharmacy? What's the nearest
Sure.
grocery store? So
92% of the American adults have done that in the last 72 hours.
in the last 3 days.
And that's a Google business profile.
Yes.
So you really need to take your profile and have it optimized or optimize it yourself at the very least.
Right.
You need to have some activity on it. There's a
And-
couple of reasons.
But
number-
let's get into that on a separate
Okay,
conversation. I'd
sure.
love to go into your business.
Yeah,
and
because
talk
I'll
more
get way
about it.
deep in it. I'm kind of
But-
nerdy.
Look, I mean, the argument would be, and you mentioned a lot of companies haven't updated their sites in 5 years, or
Sure.
they haven't. And we target an audience of entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, and we have you on here to help guide them through their journey. I mean, your journey started, selling in the automotive industry that ultimately transitioned you into a successful 10-year anniversary of your company. What's the advice that you would give to an entrepreneur in the area of marketing? And obviously, your business profile is so critical. And how could and your website? I mean, we're setting in the building that is also the local home of the Arizona Republic, the newspaper, which you talked about when we first started talking.
Mm-hmm.
And how many people get a newspaper delivered to their porch every day?
I have no idea anymore. but
It ain't very big, right?
used to be considerable.
Right. Now they have rebranded themselves to AZ Central. And how many people have internet access in their home today?
Pretty much everybody.
So if you're not optimized, as you're talking about optimizing with your business profile, if you're not optimized to sell your products or services online, you're probably not in business right now, right?
Yeah, that's correct. The reality is, if you're not on the first page of a search result, you're invisible.
Right.
Okay, very few people go to the second or third
Or
page.
third, right.
Right. So you really need to be on the first page, and specifically a Google Business Profile. It only occupies the first page.
Right.
And what I do is not marketing. That's the hardest thing for anyone to understand. We're actually about visibility.
Right.
If you're going to have a marketing team coming up with whatever your brand
Whatever
is, whatever your
campaign,
colors are, whatever everything else that's going around the marketing, what your processes are, that's cool. Apply that to your Google Business Profile.
Gotcha.
Right.
And your website. I mean,
and your website, yeah, of course. But at the very least, even if you don't have a website, we have a company in Costa Rica that helps local businesses there. Most of them don't have websites.
Have local website.
Right? They have Facebook.
Right.
Right. That's primarily what
That's their online
Facebook
presence.
pages. Right. So we're actually killing it down there, taking lawyers and doctors and hospitals and plumbers and putting a Google Business Profile together for them.
Interesting.
And
no website, a social media profile, and a local business local profile.
And it's changing the world for them. And another thing that a lot of people don't know is that if you have a social media platform, if you connect it to your Google Business Profile, it becomes searchable.
Wow.
Going to give you a short example.
Not sure I want to do that.
Well, if you search for something or somebody and it says so-and-so or such and such is on Facebook, if you click it and it says join Facebook to get the experience,
to get the
that's indexed by Facebook.
Right. That's not searchable.
Right? But if you click it and it goes directly to the content, that's because you have it attached to your Google Business Profile, so it's indexing to search.
Okay.
It's really that simple.
Yeah, makes sense. So simple things like that are the things that differentiate between a successful, business or startup and one that doesn't make it even to the second anniversary.
Correct.
Okay. And those are the things that, people need to really concentrate on. it doesn't take that much. To your point, I didn't have to spend 30,000-40,000 on a optimal URL and then another 10,000-15,000 building the perfect website. There are so many ways to get that, you say, visibility without doing those things.
Correct. Now, to your point of the 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, the reality of the game is if you're not spending $5,000 a month on a pay-per-click campaign, at least, you're wasting your money,
Okay.
right? A fully optimized and managed Google Business Profile by a reputable firm, whether it's mine or not, is under $600,
Right.
right? So that is actually a really good value.
That's a year. So you're saying $5,000 a year
Yeah,
ish.
right. And so if you're spending 600, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, $4,000 a month on pay-per-click, stop that, optimize your Google profile.
Gotcha.
You'll get way more results.
Yeah.
In a very short period of time.
It's funny because, I had an online school. So
Yeah.
in the early days, secondary education, the first calls that came in almost, uniform, almost unanimously was, are you real? Are you a real school?
Yeah.
And we were fully accredited. We met all the guidelines for operating. Like you said, you couldn't even teach in Arizona. I was running a school. And that was number one question we got. Are you real? And so we spent a lot of money going after people that weren't even convinced we were a legitimate organization. But you go ask Google. I would always ask, or Facebook, or any of the, back then it was Google, Bing, and Yahoo. And then it was Google Bing, which supported Yahoo. Anyway, I asked them if they give me my money back on a campaign I spent $100,000 on and only got $25,000 in revenue.
Yikes.
You know what they said, right?
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they said, hell no, we're
Yeah.
not giving you any of your money back.
Yeah.
Oh, but we have these analysts that will analyze your pay-per-click strategies and campaign, look and feel and call to actions and all these things. But it's interesting. So when you say $5,000, $6,000 a year to do the right things that make you show up, make you visible to your audience of prospective clients, customers. I mean, that's you can't afford not to do
Well,
things.
here's the crazy thing. A really good website will convert at 2 or 3%.
Yeah.
Right? A really good website.
Yeah.
A standard Google Business Profile will convert from search to engagement at better than 10%.
Wow.
That's just a standard one.
That's standard.
And if you actually take the time to fully optimize it, and there's so much you can do there, but if you were to actually do that, some of our Google profiles for our clients get 100%
Of conversion.
Wow. So now that doesn't mean everybody's converting. What that means is that at least 25% of the people are giving 4 clicks on the various aspects.
Okay.
So that's how that number is registered. I don't want to be misleading, but we had one client last year. His Google Business Profile was the number 1 search result 1 million times in a year.
Wow.
1,200,000, whatever. But he got 3,500,000 clicks.
Wow.
And among those clicks was, I believe, 14,000 phone calls.
Wow.
Right. So this is, and I have no idea how many people called him after they clicked through to his website.
That's right. 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 There's always that, because that was always the discussion I got is, well, don't stop because you're building momentum. You're building momentum. Yeah, spend another $100,000.
Yeah.
We encourage you to keep spending that money. The momentum will come and they will come back. They will come back. So
yeah.
But so that that is key when you're a startup. You don't have endless budget. No matter whether you've fundraised and you have a big war chest, which we did. We fundraised. We had a lot of money. Well, we've got a lot of money that are being spent on all aspects of the business.
Sure. Computers, office, salary, insurance. Yeah.
you only have so much money you can spend on marketing. You have to, you know, yeah, make sure you have enough money for payroll. You have to make sure you have money for rent. So
That could
those
keep
are
you up at night too, by the way.
and those things tend to they kept me up many nights. So anyway, so yeah, I mean, what are kind of, the top one or two, um, you know, nuggets of information you could provide to our audience who are uh, aspiring entrepreneurs. They've got a great idea, one they want to spend, you know, their their life, if not their next year or two, pursuing. What are the ideas? What are the tips that you would give them? One, two, or three tips that you think would make a difference?
Yeah, you know what? That's a great question. There are a number of tips, and it's based on the type of business as
Okay.
well. Okay, so if you're a restaurant or somebody that offers a product, okay, you should have your products and your food stuff or what have you listed on your Google profile. Now, a lot
Okay.
of restaurants will utilize third parties to populate it,
Right.
but there's actually an aspect of the Google profile called a product listing, and you get 1,500 characters to define that product listing
Wow.
for
Okay.
search. So do that.
Just do it.
The other thing too is
But
if
do it yourself. You're
you
saying
can
just
do it themselves.
it's not difficult. It's not rocket science.
No, it isn't. It isn't.
My son is, he's a tech guru, but he's trained himself. So it's like same thing. These entrepreneurs, today's entrepreneurs, they are tech savvy.
Yeah,
They know
yeah,
tech.
yeah. They are because they grew up with a computer in their
Right.
hand.
Right.
Even if they're playing with dad's phone.
Unlike me. Yeah. Right.
Right. Right. Unlike me as well.
Yeah.
Right. There was 3 channels on our TV when I was a kid. Right.
Right. So
we had
make sure you fill out the products
yeah,
section.
you fill out the product. The other thing that you could do if you're like a service company, like a plumber or electrician, there you can go into the back end of the Google profile and list all of the services that you'll do.
Okay.
And then you get 300 characters to define each one of those services for search.
Wow.
And 100% of the clients that I visit, when I look at their Google profile, they have no idea that they can go in and define those products for
Right.
search
Wow.
or those services for search.
Services.
So this is something that's very important. As soon as you do that, you're going to start turning up in search results. Like it doesn't take hours, it doesn't take days. It just takes literally minutes
Okay.
for the effect to have. Because if people are searching for your product or service, they're within 20 or 30 miles of you, they're going to see you.
They'll see you. Okay. 20, 30 miles.
Yep.
That's a full metropolitan area in our
Yeah.
case. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Now some people can set up their parameter
geo-target
for smaller
right.
areas, right? And it's actually easier to rank the smaller your area is and
Okay.
then expand it. But just overall, what I'm
Sure.
sharing with you will get you your next air conditioning job, and get you your next electrical job
Right. Okay.
in a matter of hours, literally.
Okay. All right. And then any final thoughts on what every entrepreneur should be doing to promote their business?
Well,
I mean,
that's
I
a
know it's a
loaded
long
question,
list.
man. So the first thing I will tell you is that we actually help more businesses for free than we do for a fee.
Sure.
And the reason I say that is because even if you don't have a high enough ticket item to hire me for even the $500 or $600 a month, okay, you still need the Google Business Profile.
Right.
You still need it to be optimized. So we help small businesses do that, even if they don't want to hire us. Okay. Now our service is considerably more detailed than just optimizing a profile.
Right.
We're an ongoing service.
Sure.
But they should really do that, and they should really connect with me or one of my team members, right?
Okay.
To sit down and go through the Google Business Profile, just show you 1 or 6 points that will actually make a difference,
All right.
make you stand out where your competitors aren't. Because 94% of the businesses out there are not managing their Google profile. They created it with the name,
That's
address,
right.
and phone number and left it alone.
And now it's sitting there years after potentially.
Years after, that's correct, yeah.
Well, how do they connect with you?
They can get on my calendar at darlinglocal.co.
.co. C-O.
Yep. So all of my contact information, my social media, everything is on that link, darlinglocal.com.
All right, you guys heard it. So connect with Craig, and make sure you like the podcast if you think it was worth your time to watch. And if you're new, watching this with a colleague, you can subscribe to our podcast at whatkeepsyouawake.tv or your local platform, or your preferred platform, I should say. And thanks again, Craig.
You're welcome.
And
Thank you.
We'll look forward to having you on another episode.
Perfect. Look forward to it as well.
Thanks, guys.